This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're landing me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Friday, everybody. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. She's Alex White. I'm Jeff Parles. There will be no spitting, hopefully not. At least not intentional spitting here on the show, Alex.
Well, that'll be good. Really good first game to kick off the football season. I have to say, the Dallas Cowboys, at least being good offensively, makes the NFL better.
We're going to get to that game in a second. And, of course, it's not going to be opening night in the NFL without an absolutely hellacious beat on the total where, again, it was an all-time bad one. And you know what? Let's just hop right into it. By the way, ticker trivia is going to be there from the get-go. So if you want to dethrone JR and Nick, you got to be on it in the bottom. And, of course, the poll question are going to be available as well for people picking upsets this weekend in college football. So that will be what we're looking at in the poll question. But, Alex, real quick on last night before we get into tonight's action in Sao Paulo and, of course, 2 college football games. And then we'll rapid fire the baseball card, which include the very struggling LA Dodgers all of a sudden. But last night, Dallas and Philadelphia, it was 24-20. It was Philadelphia with the win. It was 21-20 at halftime. There were 3 measly points in the second half. Ryan McCormick pointed this out to me this morning. Evan Abrams, who does an amazing job over at Action Network, put this out last night. The total closed 47.5 on the Cowboys and the Eagles. 41 first half points. Just 3 in the second half. Under gets there. Games of 40-plus points in the first half with a full game total below 50. In the last 20 years, we're entering last night 172-1. It's now 172-2. Just absolutely disgusting if you had that over last night. But I ended up taking the Cowboys. It was a wire-to-wire cover. I wasn't really concerned at any point last night about the cover. But, I thought last night Philly loses Jalen Carter because he spit on Dak Prescott before the first play from scrimmage. Jalen Carter just can't control himself sometimes. I came away actually fairly impressed with the Cowboys, as wild as that may sound, because we made fun of the Brian Schottenheimer hire all offseason, but they upped their motion pre-snap. They would have been the amount of plays that were pre-snap motion last night would have been good for 4th in the NFL. Last year, remember, that was a whole conversation that they didn't do any pre-snap motion. They're in the bottom 5 in the league. They look like they had a plan on offense. I know they didn't execute as well in the second half, but Philadelphia, got to give Fangio credit for adjusting, and If Miles Sanders doesn't fumble, who knows what the game ends up looking like. But look, Philly did the minimum they had to do to win this game. They did. I was impressed with Dallas's offense. They'll be good against mediocre teams like they've been over the last few years. But in the end, Philly gets the win 24-20.
That's funny. I was thinking the exact same thing. They will be good against mediocre teams like they have been. They'll probably be very dominant at home once again. Dak Prescott looked back, looked very good, and they had a run game. And I think that was actually the most impressive part that they really needed going into this season. So we'll see a lot of question marks still defensively, clearly, and Jalen Hurts just ran all over them. So that's definitely a concern. Yeah,
the Cowboy defense we knew was going to be bad, and we knew it was going to get worse with the trade of Parsons. It showed last night, especially in that first half. Again, pre-Lightning delay, there were no punts.
Yeah.
And then there were no points after the Lightning delay with 4:44 to go in the third quarter. But in the end, look, good win for Philly. Always want to get out 1-0. I know that's a monster cliche, but that would have been a potentially seismic result in the NFC East if Dallas had pulled that off.
Yeah.
And again, we could have been talking all week. It's been almost 20 years since the NFC East division winner from the year before had repeated the next year, and that narrative would have been strong. But again, Philly able to hold on. Eagles get the Chiefs next week in Kansas City. Dallas hosts the Giants, who of course the Giants have not beaten the Cowboys in almost 6 years now. So it's been a while for Big Blue.
Same game teaser did get there as well. And you mentioned it. You thought both ways were good.
And they were. They were.
Sidewise, they were, yeah.
Even though I will say, I did take a piece of Dallas money line going into that final drive, so I gave a little bit back on my +8 that I ended up getting, but it's a bet I would have made a lot of times. And you know what? If the CD makes the first play, forget the last one. That would have been a tremendous catch. You expect the receiver of Lamb's caliber to make it, but it would have been a spectacular play. But the one where Dak just dropped it in the bucket in between 5 people and Lamb almost turned it into an interception. That was bad. And if he makes that play, who knows? Dallas might have ended up getting a touchdown and could have ended up in overtime.
Yep.
One way, one how. All right, Alex, let's go to tonight in Brazil. Kansas City, L.A., as far away from home as humanly possible for the Chargers, right? Chargers begin their near 40,000-mile quest, which is the most in NFL history going into a season for any team. Kansas City's 3 here in Sao Paulo. It was 2.5 most of the summer. It was 3 the last month. Total's been bet up 3 points, 44-47. I wonder, again, last night, I know it went under, but it was really an over game. Let's call it what it was, even though the result said the other way. Last year, the game was played in the 60s on this turf in Sao Paulo. Alex, I'm curious your thoughts here, just side and total in this one.
Really, side, I think that number is just right. I'm not even dying to jump in and take a 3 with the key number. I do have my concerns with the Chargers. I just don't think it's a good matchup for them. And we saw it last year. They played Kansas City really good, lost both games by a combined 9 points. But, I mean, the Chiefs' defense is really good against the run, and that's what the Chargers want to do, especially to start out the season. We'll see if they let Justin Herbert throw it a little bit more, but have my concerns with their left tackle injury with Slater, and now we'll see how that looks in the first game. And I actually think we're going to see an uptick for the Chiefs offensively. Will that happen? I don't know, but it was the first year that Patrick Mahomes did not hit 4,000 passing yards on the season, and I think that's a key that they want to improve throughout the regular season this year. Total-wise, I think people are kind of overreacting with what we saw last year in the first Brazil game. I would only be betting this under. I think that both teams, get their run game going. Chiefs have Pacheco back, and I am really curious to see how Hampton looks here for the Chargers.
I have no feel for the total. None whatsoever. If you told me we ended up 28-24, fine. Told me ended up 23-17, fine. Wouldn't shock me. What's the common denominator with both the scores that I said? Kansas City wins by more than 3.
That's right.
So I like the Chiefs here in this game. This game landing on 3 makes a hell of a lot of sense to me as well. You mentioned the Chargers. Chargers have not beaten the Chiefs since week 3 of 2021, which is a little bit surprising because the Chiefs have always seemed to struggle in these games against the Chargers, but the Chargers just can't pull off the upset. But I expect this to kind of play the same way. I'm curious to see how the Chargers look now with no Slater, as we mentioned. Obviously, we know the big injury in training camp. changes the way their offensive line looks. I expect Kansas City's defense to play well again. And also, too, you mentioned it, even with no Rashee Rice, who's suspended these first 6 games, Hollywood Brown is back.
Yep.
Another year for Xavier Worthy. They get Pacheco fully healthy, who even though he returned after the broken fibula last year, he's never the same guy after that early leg break in week 2. But I like Kansas City here tonight. This has the feel where the Chiefs win a 1-score game. If it lands 3, you know what? Then it's my own fault for not taking 2.5 in the middle of the summer when it was readily available. But I still think 3 is good here on KC, Alex.
I'm really not going to jump in either way, side or total in this one. A lot to come for Sunday, and we'll get into that with our Football Frenzy show in just 2 hours. But yeah, I think all the numbers are just right. As I mentioned, lean to the under. Can't fault you. I was so high on the Chargers last year. There's something really holding me back from even grabbing that 3 here. And I think it is the fact you said 1-score game. Remember, Chiefs 12-0 last year in those, but it wasn't just all luck because the fourth quarter comebacks, 4 of them, and 7 game-winning drives for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. So I know it's not just luck. And while there might be a little bit of regression this year, I still think they have a lot of positives.
There'll be regression. They're going to lose a few 1-score games this year. I just don't think it comes tonight again when you have the best player on the planet. I don't care what the NFL top 100 says. Mahomes is still the best player in this league, and that's an advantage. You're going to win close games when you have the best player on the planet. There you see the Chiefs skill position player odds here tonight. We'll circle back to the quarterbacks in a few moments, but I think Isaiah Pacheco's attempts is too high at 19.5. I think we're going to see a little more of a mix at the running back position for Kansas City, just because I think you're going to just see them try to work Pacheco fully back in. Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell are there now. I think 19.5 is way too high on Pacheco. That number's that's DraftKings, right, Ryan, on a 19.5? Yeah, DraftKings, I think that number is way too high.
I'm with you.
Worthy at 5.5 receptions, 61.5 receiving yards. Hollywood at 3.5 receptions, 37.5 receiving yards. Travis Kelce, 5.5 receptions, 48.5 receiving yards, and the longest reception of 18.5. I'm very curious to see how Kelce looks because he looked old all year last year, and we never saw him get out of the looking old look. Lost some weight this offseason, in a little bit better playing shape than he was going into last year. I just wonder how that works out. I would not touch anything with Kelce on that board. It's Pacheco under 19.5 attempts. I just think there's going to be a variance in how many guys get carries tonight. Yeah. Pacheco probably lands in that 15 to 17 window more than anything.
I think that is the best bet on the board prop-wise for these position players. If I had to pick it over, I'm going Xavier Worthy. I'm excited to see him here in year 2, more comfortable in the offense. I would go over the receiving yards. I mean, I think they got to get it established early and take some shots, which we didn't see a whole lot of last year. So, yeah, I would try and go with Worthy. Especially Brown had a few things this preseason, little nagging. He should be fine, good to go, but I'd definitely go for Worthy here tonight.
One other note on the KC offense, new left tackle, of course, because injuries last year. They ended up with Thuney at left tackle in the Super Bowl. Obviously didn't work. The first-round pick, Josh Simmons, who there were some questions of would he be even ready for the regular season when he was drafted. He's going to be ready to go. So right away, rookie left tackle, opening night, foreign country, reasonable pass rush on the Chargers, and curious to see how that all plays out as well.
All the beat writers, everyone covering the team, very excited about him stepping into that position and saying he is ready to go.
Look, he's got talent. There's no argument on that. And the size as well and the athleticism for Simmons, they may have fallen into something, but again, it's just a matter of being able to execute here in game 1. Charger skill position side, Harbaugh's already said O'Marion Hampton's the number 1 back. We're still not even certain of how Najee Harris's eye looks after a fireworks incident this summer. So this is one where I'm a little bit perplexed on Hampton's total attempts being so low at 11.5. I'm not, how can you expect to see Najee for that much? We didn't see him at all in the preseason. Again, we don't know what the health of his eye is still. I think look, could I be wrong? Of course, I'm wrong. I'm wrong at least half the time, as we know, Alex. But I'm a little bit perplexed on the O'Marion Hampton. Well, it's 12 plus now, and so same thing as 11.5. I'm a little bit perplexed on that. I'd even be willing to take a plus 14 attempts at plus 161 that's available at DK. I think that's a reasonable bet. Chargers are going to be run first. Even though they have Herbert, they're going to be run first. It's going to be bulk of Hampton here tonight. I think that number get 14 plus carries, so 14 and a half over plus 161, I think is a reasonable bet.
I can't disagree by any means. I really do think that he will get the bulk of the carries here. Curious to see what we get from Keenan Allen coming back here now and another weapon for Herbert. And McConkey coming off of that outstanding rookie year. And then we got Quentin Johnson too. So it feels like they've got the pass catchers there for him.
Well, we know Quentin Johnston's problem, who's not even listed on the screen there. Again, McConkey, 5.5 receptions, 71.5 on the receiving yards. Monster rookie year. Allen back at the Chargers after a quick foray in Chicago. 3.5 receptions, 37.5 receiving yards. I don't think Keenan Allen has anything left in the tank, personally. I think he's done, but who knows? More reliable than Johnston, who, of course, last year was, or his whole career has been infuriating. The first-round pick just can't catch the ball. But I have a weird feeling this could be a night for Johnston where they need him. You can get 40-plus receiving yards at plus $2 at DK. I might end up on alts tonight more so than anything on the Chargers end. A little bit surprising on that regard. And then, Alex, let's look at the quarterbacks here tonight. Obviously, we got, in my opinion, the best in the league in Mahomes and a Pro Bowl caliber guy in Herbert. But I don't really have much of anything that I like on this board. Mahomes, 35.5 attempts, 23.5 completions, 240.5 passing yards, a touchdown and a half passing. No passing touchdowns last night, by the way, between the two quarterbacks. Hurts was 2 touchdowns around the ground. A half of an interception for Holmes, just under at minus 115, and an anytime touchdown at 5-1. There's nothing really on the Mahomes end for me tonight, Alex. 35.5 feels high when we couldn't get there with Dak last night with the 36.5. So, yeah, that feels a little high there for Patrick Mahomes and company. We know that they are pretty balanced, and now with Pacheco back, and as you mentioned, good running backs behind him. Yeah, I tend to agree. If anything, you go under 35.5. Herbert, 33.5 on the attempts, 231.5 passing yards, 21.5 completions, 1.5 passing touchdowns, juice to the under at minus 140. Interception juice to the under at minus 125. Yeah, there's just not much to be had on these quarterbacks. I think these lines are good, Alex.
I agree with you. And it's a lot of kind of watch and see for this week one and see what we really got for moving to week 2.
We will have a further breakdown in this game. Football Frenzy comes your way at noon. Myself, Alex, Chris Andrews, Vinny Magliulo will get the bookmaker perspective on this game. College hours at noon, NFL hours at 1 Pacific, so watch the whole 2 hours, but if you really just want the NFL, we'll be squarely at 1 o'clock on the National Football League here today. All right, let's head over to college football here. 2 games today on a Friday that will hit right here. James Madison and Louisville first, and this has been a fascinatingly bet game to me. JMU, who I think has a dark horse shot of getting that group of 5 bid, especially now that the Mountain West seems to be a little bit weaker than we anticipated coming in, even though you could argue the American might be stronger, especially after Tulane's demolition of a Power 4 Northwestern. Now, granted, a weak Power 4, but they still won that game by 20, and it was never really a competition. But here you go. Louisville last week. Now, you can't take much from last week for the Cardinals because they played Eastern Kentucky, an FCS team. They won 51-17, but Miller Moss only played the first half, 17-25, 223, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Now, one of them wasn't his fault. One of them was a deflected ball, but I would have liked to have seen him be sharper against an FCS defense in a half. I'm a little bit intrigued on how this game's been bet. Open 15, down to 13.5, now back to 15 here at the South Point. There's also 15.5 at Circa. There's 14 still available. I'm curious your thoughts, Alex, because I'm a little bit confused by the way the market has taken this game.
If anything, I was looking at the total. I'm a little bit surprised, kind of like you, that it has been bet under. I thought it would be more of an over bet here. I did make it higher and diving into these 2. And you talked about Miller Moss. And yes, one of those interceptions wasn't his fault, but still I thought it would be a little sharper too. So there is room for error there. I mean, last year, that was his problem at USC, 18 touchdowns and 9 interceptions at 2-to-1 ratio. is not good there. And then on the other side, we saw points from JMU, and as you mentioned, can't take much away from it. Both of them up against FCS, so Weber State. But the quarterback in Barnett, it is his second year starting here at JMU. Last year, really good, 25 touchdowns, 4 INT. So I think we're going to get points from both sides. I'm not trying to disregard the defenses, but looking at offensives, I think we're going to see success. So that's the only way I look at it. I don't hate grabbing the points there either. I don't fully trust Brahms' team yet here in Miller Moss. I think it's going to take some time, and I think JMU is a pretty good program here that can actually keep this close.
Yeah, I you know what? I might even take the 15.5 while we're in commercial. I don't know if do you think we could see 16? I don't see it. If we do, it'll be don't blink,
right,
as Vinny has said. I'm a little bit floored that this. I understood initially when this opened at this number. I understood the take. I understood the take of it. I actually thought that 13.5 felt about right, where it's like, well, you're trying to get me to lay Louisville here, but I really want JMU at 14. I'm a little surprised it got bet back up. Obviously, we're still got to monitor Barnett, who's been dealing with injury all offseason and wasn't overly effective in their opening game against the Weber State, another FCS team. But 15 feels awfully juicy on a Dukes team that usually plays up pretty well when they play these power conference teams. Well,
and not to mention, to your point, looking at Barnett's numbers from last week, 130 yards, completed 64% of his passes, but JMU is very successful on the ground.
Yes.
And it is Weber State, but still 313 total rushing yards, 7.1 yards per attempt. I can't guarantee the Cardinals are going to be able to stop them on the ground. So, yeah, I think the dog, and I'm leaning to the over here, but I think I like the second game even better than this first.
Well, let's get to that second game. Northern Illinois and Maryland. Maryland last week, I know they covered against FAU, but FAU, a 39-7 game, turned the ball over 6 times. 6 interceptions by FAU quarterbacks in that one. You're probably not getting that again. Now, the only concern that I have is Northern Illinois really struggled last week in barely eking it out against Holy Cross, a reasonable FCS team. They've been in the playoffs the 2 out of the last 4 years, but reasonable. But still, you should not be struggling as badly as NIU did. But the market likes the Huskies. From 18 to 16.5 here at the South Point, 47 to 45 on the total. There is 117 left if you wanted out at Circa on the Huskies here today in College Park.
I do like the Huskies in this one, and I know it was pretty brutal watching that game against Holy Cross, but on the other side, I watched way too much of that Maryland FAU game because I had the over. 40 points in the first half, just 6 in the second, and Maryland just looked sloppy, even though they were the least of the two that was sloppy in this one. Malik Washington, freshman, 27 of 43, had 258 yards, so well, that does worry me a little bit. The defense, they gave up 354 total yards to FAU and 277 through the air. So I know we have our concerns with Holst or NIU and what they can really do through the air, if they can even exploit that, because they are a run-first team. And we know that. I just think it's 45 is the total. That's telling you a lot. I agree with that. Lower scoring game. Hammock's going to try and just, run out the clock. And I think that every point is worth something here. So, yeah, 16.5. I'm going to jump in here. It might even be a play for me in a contest if I can get 17.
Yeah, there are contest numbers, I think, are 17.5 for the major one at the Westgate. But I'm going to stay out. I'm going to stay out of this, especially now that we're south of 17. Again, a lot of Big Ten action here this week. Also, as you see on the top left, there's an extra board game. There are 2 of them tonight that I'll just tell you what the numbers are. Alex and I don't have any thoughts here, even though I will tell you there's number variance on Northwestern and Western Illinois. 30.5 on Northwestern here at the South Point against Western Illinois. It's as high as 32.5, which after watching Northwestern, I know Western Illinois was awful against the Illini last week, but might be a look at the leathernecks of WIU here tonight against Northwestern. And then Boise off of just getting annihilated.
The total's been
Total's 49 on
It's
that.
been bet down too from
Yeah.
52. I think so check the weather because it might even not be low enough yet.
And that Boise game, Boise's playing Eastern Washington. Eastern Washington, historically a good FCS program, but Boise's coming off getting embarrassed. 31 on the blue turf tonight. Totals is here at 59 at the South Point. It's 61 at other shops. So again, shop around because there are some variance in the market on the FBS and the FCS markets here tonight. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, Alex, we will head to baseball. We'll give you our baseball thoughts for a Friday. We'll also update you on the standings as well. Don't forget to vote in the poll here going of which team that lost that's in the top 25 last week could get upset again. And boy, they're all huge favorites. So no guts, no glory, right? Alex White, for however you answer the poll today. We'll see in a moment right here. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching?
This total is really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Back in here on Sports by the Book, Jeff Parles, Alex White. Chris Andrews just sent us the shot of the team to score the first touchdown in the 9 a.m. Pacific window in college football for tomorrow, which, by the way, I'm going to do this for Vinny because Vinny doesn't want to have to clarify it as many times as he usually has to. That is the first by time of game, not time of day, time of game for the 9 a.m. window. Texas Tech is the betting favorite at 4-1 on that. They're playing Kent State, who might be one of the worst FBS teams of all time in this one. And then which college football team will score the most points on Saturday, which is tomorrow? Texas Tech is also the favorite, followed by Penn State and Auburn as the 3 favorites for that one. Texas Tech 5-1, of course, playing Kent State, so not much of a shock there, Alex.
We've had some big dogs cash on the first to score.
We have. Well, look, we can. All it takes one random big play right at the get go. The long shot is it's got to be Kent, right?
I was thinking like 30-1. That region.
So we actually got a bunch of 100s this week.
Ooh.
FIU, Kent, Central Michigan, San Jose State, and Kennesaw are all 100-1 in that early window. Might be worse bets to be made than San Jose State, even though they were brutal last week against Central Michigan. Central Michigan also playing Pitt, but that might be hard regress for the Chips this week against Pitt.
Yes.
All right, let's get into some baseball here over the last 20 minutes or so here on the show. Alex, let's start in Chicago. Assad and Irvin for the Cubbies and the Nats. Cubs -210, total 10.5 at Wrigley. Wind blowing out here in this one.
I'll be quick on this, and not much you can really do. I think those numbers are right. Not interested in laying such a big price here with the Cubbies, but Jake Irvin has been pretty brutal as of late. Gave up 6, 3, and 4 in his last 4 starts. So Cubbies should get to him here and should win this game. So nothing I can jump in on.
So it's 18-mile-an-hour winds out to right, but it's only 63 degrees at first pitch. So it's a matter of what matters more to you, the chillier temperatures or the wind blowing out. the wind blowing out means more to me. I like the over at 10.5, even though that is, of course, a bigger number for Wrigley. But we know when the wind blows out, we get bigger numbers. All right, let's go to Pittsburgh next. How about those Buccos sweeping the Dodgers? Sweeping the Dodgers and keeping at least the Padres within arm's length out west and helping the Phillies gain some ground on the 2 seed, a 3-game lead on LA now for Philly in that race. Priester and Oviedo. Brewers did lose 2 out of 3, actually, to the Phillies this week, a low-scoring game loss yesterday. We talked about Priester the last few times out, starting to struggle, starting to show the wear and tear of a first full season in the majors. Yeah, but I still think that's the right side here. I think the bettors are kind of overreacting. Minus 150 was the opener, down to minus 135. I'll jump in here. I like the Brewers on this side. Priester really given up more than 2 earned runs in 1 of his last 9 outings. So hits, yes, we've definitely seen it, and the Mets really got to him. 10 hits, 6 earned runs in that one. Besides that, I think he'll be just fine. I know the Pirates have won 3 in a row, but I like the Brewers in this side. They are the better team. I can't really argue also, too. The Pirates really gonna sweep the Dodgers and then beat up on the Brewers? Right. Like, and just don't see that. Plus 120 run line is intriguing, actually, laying the 1.5 with the Brewers if you want to take a shot on that one. All right, let's go to Cincinnati next. Now, this series about a week ago looked like it was going to be gigantic, but now the Reds aren't even the closest team to the Mets in the wild card chase. The Mets have a 5-game lead on Cincy entering today. They have a 4-game lead on the Giants, who have won 10 out of their last 11 to at least get back in things a little bit. Talked about the Giants have with a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way, except for 7 against the Dodgers, which who knows what's going on with the Dodgers at this rate. It's lefties today. Peterson and Abbott, minus 15 on Peterson, even on Abbott, total of 9. Alex, I only like the over in this game. Peterson's really struggled even though I will say he's coming off the worst start he's had all season, which does worry me a little bit that because the last time he got bombarded by the Braves a few weeks ago, he bounced back and had a great start his next time out. Yep. That is my only concern, but hitter's ballpark, Mets lineup is locked in. I like this over. This is a tough one for me that even money with the Reds is tempting. I do think Abbott is the better pitcher of the two, but I really think that's the only advantage here you got with the Reds. So it would be first 5 with the Reds or pass, and probably can't get a plus price on the first 5. So it should be a good game here, very good pitching duel, and I do think Peterson will bounce back. Mine is -5 first 5. Actually, Abbott's favored in the first 5 against Peterson here today. All right, let's go to Miami next. Christopher Sanchez against Belezo for the Fish. Fish got swept in Washington earlier this week. I'm sure they're happy to be back home. And the Phillies, of course, took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers. Call me crazy here. I actually want to take a shot on Miami at over $2. I wish I was getting a little bit more. Belezo actually has been okay. Now, granted, he hasn't started in a while. It's been a lot of bullpen action for him, but I kind of like that price on Miami. I wish it was a little bit more, but it would only be the Fish here in this one, Alex. I can't really fault you. I mean, the Phillies coming off of that Brewers series too, but I like Sanchez too much, and he had a strong bounce back after the worst start, and he was kind of moving up that Cy Young, but went 5 scoreless and then allowed a run in the 6th. So I think against the Braves, and I think he can keep that going here against the Marlins. Nothing really I want to jump in on, though. I think the price is right. Not interested in the run line in this one. I think the total's right as well. All right, let's go to St. Louis next. The Cardinals and the Giants. Again, the Giants are, somewhat in it. 4 games out with 23 to go. And today, 22 to go for San Francisco. And they are going to send young Carson Seymour to the bump for this one and against McGreevy on the other side. I don't know what to do here, Alex. I think the 8.5 feels a little bit low in this game. The Cardinals, I think, should be a small favorite like they are, but I don't know what to do here. Giants playing great. 10 out of 11 they've won. It would only be an overplay for me as well. And Seymour just 1 start, did pitch well in the first 2, but then gave up a pair of home runs in the 3rd. And then McGreevy on the other side, coming off a good start against Cincinnati. But before that, gave up 4 to the Pirates, gave up 2 to Miami, 3 to the Rockies. So I think both sides are going to be able to score some runs here. So 8.5 over would be the play for me in this game. All right, up next, let's go to Colorado where, boy, I'm sure the Padres are thrilled to see the Rockies after getting swept at home by Baltimore in the midweek. Padres missed a golden opportunity. Dodgers get swept in Pittsburgh, and the Padres make up 0 ground. Still 2 games behind L.A. Out west. Remember, the Dodgers have the tiebreak because they've won the season series. So Padres just missing a big-time opportunity with falling to Baltimore. Their best pitcher goes tonight. It's Nick Pivetta. Kyle Freeland goes for Colorado. Alex, the total's too low at Coors Field for me. The 10.5, you know my rule. If we're sub 11, it really doesn't matter who the pitchers are. I'm going over it. I'll take over 10.5 in this one, and probably a Padre team total as well to get their act together against Kyle Freeland.
I like it. I like the Padres side. I think that's a pretty good price. This one I would be interested in jumping in the run line. I don't want to lay the minus 145. So Padres team total over. We'll see how long Freeland can go because remember the last outing gave up 2 runs in the first inning and gotten that thing with the Giants. So I agree with you. I could even go full game over this 10.5. I do think we'll see runs.
We saw Freeland, 2 batters get ejected, fisticuffs, all the fun at Coors earlier this week on that one. All right, let's go to Detroit next. The Tigers and the White Sox, Smith and Flaherty. We've talked about Jack Flaherty at home. He's been much better at Comerica Park than away from it this year. He's minus 185 favorite against the White Sox. White Sox are playing all right now, which is kind of interesting to say about a team that's 53 and 88, but an actual chance to finish with 60-plus wins, which would get them they're already over their win total for the year. So just keep going up and up here if you're the White Sox.
You know, I think I've said it since Tuesday that White Sox was the right side. They've won 5 in a row, and I have not taken advantage and jumped in on those plus prices here. I think both of these pitchers are better than what their records show. Shane Smith, a little up and down, but we've talked about him throughout the entire season, and now he's really started to find his form again. He's got some momentum, 2 great starts coming into this one, so I think it would only be a White Sox grab. I don't love it. I wish I was getting a little bit more. And I do think Flaherty is better than his numbers show. It's the second time he can pitch better. He got hit up by the Royals and then pitched a great game against them. White Sox did just see him April 12th, so we'll see how he does here. First 5 lean to the under 4.5. I think both of them can start out hot. And a lean to the dog there with a plus price.
Yeah, I can't really fault you. White Sox, like you said, playing well. And again, over the win total now for the season. Congratulations to the Sox and Will Venable up there. Again, still bad, still not a good team. But, hey, look, if they somehow end up sub 100 losses, that's a pretty good accomplishment. It means they would have improved by 20-plus games from a year ago, which, again, still bad, but nothing to discredit there on the South side.
We'll see how they do here in Detroit against this team.
Tigers, again, first place in the Central, 9.5 up. They're going to win the division. It's just a matter of now trying to catch the Blue Jays and have the AL playoffs through Comerica Park instead of the Rogers Center or any of those places out east since that division has tightened in the American League East. Well, speaking of the Blue Jays, here you go. Huge series in the Bronx. Yankees, again, this ridiculous 12-game stretch against the top teams in the American League starts out well. They take 2 out of 3 in Houston. Now they return home, play the Blue Jays. The Yankees have been awful against the Blue Jays this year, but the bulk of that has been north of the border. Cam Schlegler today against Gosman on the other side. Good pitching matchup here in the Bronx. Minus 130 on the Yankees, total of 9 here in this one.
Man, it is a really good pitching matchup, and I would like to go under, but I can't do that here. I think once you knock it down, it should be right here at this 9. Lean to the first 5 over. Gosman's been really good. He's really stepped up as their ace and coming off a really good start against the Brewers. Went 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, no walks in that one. Just gave up 1 earned run on 4 hits. But on the other side, Cam Schrittler has been fantastic for them too. He's coming back-to-back scoreless starts for them. So this is a tough one to handicap. I mean, maybe this is one of those that there's value in the plus price with the dog for each start. So lean to the Blue Jays here with Gosman going.
Can't really argue. I think whoever was the dog in this game would be the way I'd go. If the Yankees had come a small dog, I'd take the Yankees. Toronto's a small dog. Take the Blue Jays here. Jays enter today 3 games ahead of the Yankees. They have the tiebreaker already. So Yankees need to sweep and get some help down the line from somebody else to realistically have a shot to steal back the American League East. 3 games back. Yankees, though, in control of the number one wild card is Boston missing Roman Anthony at the current moment, and we might not see Anthony again unless if the Red Sox win a wild card series because of that oblique injury. All right, let's go to Tampa, who's all of a sudden somewhat back in things, sweep the Mariners and get it back to 2 in the American League wild card chase, taking on Cleveland. They're going with an opener tonight. Griffin Jax is going to open the game. Jax has not pitched particularly well since getting traded from Minnesota to Tampa. Gavin Williams, who's pitched pretty darn well this year for Cleveland, on the other side. Total of 8, Razor minus 140. Kind of intrigued by Cleveland in the first 5 in this one with Williams at plus 130. That would probably be the way that I would look to go here, Alex.
I think that is the right side here. I really do. Now, Gavin Williams fluctuates. He either has a fantastic outing or he can give up quite a few runs, but he's coming off a really good one here against Seattle. I think he can keep that momentum going. Actually, 3 pretty good ones in a row coming into this. So that should definitely give you some confidence with that bet there. Gavin Lax, you mentioned it, has not been great since the trade deadline. And then Seymour should be the bulk reliever. 26 years old. We'll see how he does in this one. Coming off a really good start with Washington. So Guardians are going to have to get to Jax first, I think, and get up some runs there. So nothing for me really, but it was a lean to the Guardians.
Yeah, it'll only be Cleveland first 5. That would be the only way I'd look to play this one here today. All right, Kansas City's only 2 games out now as well behind the Mariners. They welcome in the Twins. Michael Wacha, Pablo Lopez, your pitching matchup. And you know what? No one's bet this game. Minus 130. It opened. Total 8. Hasn't moved, Alex.
That's because we haven't seen Pablo Lopez in a while. And now he's coming in after some rehab starts in AAA. He did go 5 2/3 scoreless in his last rehab start. So imagine he can do pretty well here. That's the way I'm leaning. I think it's a little bit too juicy of a price for Michael Wacha on the other side. I would take a stab with Lopez in his return start back, but nothing too confident in that one.
June 3rd was the last time we saw Lopez, and then he suffered that muscle tear in his shoulder area. And again, Lopez was really good before the injury for Minnesota. He was their best. Him and Ryan was a pretty good one too. Remember, the Twins had that really big hot streak at the beginning of the year and then have really dissipated since then. 16 games under 500, heading for a well under 500 year up in Minneapolis. All right, Battle of Texas is next, and the Rangers again are in it. A game and a half behind Seattle. Astros lose 2 out of 3 to the Yankees, still 3.5 ahead of the Mariners, 5 ahead of the Rangers in the West. Houston is not named a starter yet. Merrill Kelly will go for Texas. Minus 130 on the Astros. All right, so Alex, who do you have as your person real quick?
I thought it was Hunter Brown.
Okay, so it says undecided on our usual odds board, which is a little bit peculiar.
Yeah.
But let's operate like it's Brown. Ooh. That pricing is right if it is Hunter Brown here.
Yeah, might be a little bit too steep. I think Merrill Kelly can go toe-to-toe with him here in this matchup. So Rangers first 5 maybe. I still worry about the Rangers offensively. And the Astros, while they are up and down and inconsistent offensively, I still think they are the better lineup. So I try to avoid that. Just go first 5, Merrill Kelly, and take the Rangers to keep it close. But, yeah, should be a really good matchup here between these two.
Kind of want to take a shot at Texas, even with Brown. Want to take that shot. This is
plus 115.
Mariners we'll get to in a moment, but they're facing Chris Sale tonight, so a real opportunity here to get within a half game of the Mariners in the wild card standings. All right, we could be a little bit quicker on this next one.
Are we laying it in the first 5
with
the Rangers? Still plus 115.
Plus 15,
okay.
yeah. If it's Brown, it should be plus money, yeah.
Yeah,
plus 115. All right, A's and Angels. Soriano and Barnett. Soriano's minus 150. Total's 9. This hasn't really been bet either by the market. Kind of been the deal with Soriano. Good as an underdog, bad as a favorite, Alex.
No, that's true. I think that price is just a little too steep here with Soriano. Though Barnett's first start up in the bigs didn't really go great. Allowed 5 runs on 8 hits. Struck out 1. Didn't walk anyone. So we'll see how he does here in his second start. We saw a lot of him. ERA was not terrible for a PCL starter. So I like the Athletics too. I just think that price is just a little too big here for Soriano, even though has pitched very well this year. Like him better as a dog as well. Coming off of 2 scoreless outings too against the 2 Texas teams that we just talked about.
Let's go to Baltimore next. The Dodgers, who just got swept in Pittsburgh. By the way, the Dodgers are 20-23 since the All-Star break. That's tied with the Mets, and the sky has been falling for the Mets. So I don't know how the Dodgers have kind of fallen under the radar of how mediocre they've been. Really, it's been 1 month for the Dodgers where they were top tier, looked like the Dodgers of a year ago. Other than that, they've been basically a middling 500 team for the rest of the year, but it's still good enough to lead the NL West by 2 games entering today's action. And they throw Tyler Glass now. And look, the Dodgers just have to start winning games. It's as simple as that. The 3 games behind Philadelphia for the 2 seed. They do see the Phillies in LA later this month. But, hey, boy, they are really fortunate that the Padres got swept by this exact Oriole team earlier in the week in San Diego. Kramer goes for the O's, minus 160 on the Dodgers. This side has not moved. The total's gone up a half run from 8.5 to 9.
Definitely the pitching advantage with Glass now going, and I do not trust in Kramer here. But really, I mean, the Orioles, like you said, they're hitting. They're playing good ball. I would only look to the dog here in this one. I really like the over. I think we're going to get runs from both sides. Glass now, I mean, he hasn't had a scoreless outing. He's given up at least 2, and he's coming off a back-to-back starts where he gave up 3 earned runs to the Padres and the Diamondbacks. So why not the Orioles here in this one? Can get a few for us, and then the Dodgers, hopefully, their bats can get a few more for us. So over 9 would be the play for me.
Let's go to Atlanta next, and this is a huge one for the Seattle Mariners, and they really got dominated by the Rays. Really, the Rays just completely dominated them for 3 straight games earlier in the week. And now you go to Atlanta, which this year would have seemed to have been, all right, not a bad break. Yeah, you're facing Chris Sale. Second start off the IL for Sale after the rib injury. Logan Gilbert goes for Seattle. Boy, the Mariners, and I talked about it at the deadline. I loved their deadline. They did exactly what they needed to do. Coming out of the deadline, they got hot. They actually caught the Astros and got that division tied. Yep. And then since then, it's all melted. They're only 6 games over 500 now. A 1.5 lead on Texas, 2-game leads on Tampa and Kansas City. Underdog here today. Minus 135 on Sale, plus 20 on Gilbert, and a total of 7.5 in Atlanta.
I think they should be the underdog here today. I do not trust Gilbert on the road, and we've talked about it all year long, but just in the last 2 months, at home, 1.93 ERA, on the road, 5.7. So it would only be a play on Chris Sale and the Braves here. I'd probably just avoid the bullpens in second half of the game and just go first 5 here with the Braves. But I'm sure you do have to lay a pretty big price, bigger than minus 135 for the first 5. But that's the only way I'd play it, minus 140 there.
And then the last one up today, Boston goes out west to take on the Diamondbacks. Red Sox, big-time prospect Peyton Tolley, who pitched pretty well in his major league debut. Red Sox did lose that game last Friday, but Tolley pitched well. He struck out 8 over 5 in the third and scattered a bunch of base runners against old friend Eduardo Rodriguez, who, of course, is a former Red Sox. Minus 125 on Boston, plus 10 on Arizona. This is very similar to that Dodger game. Side hasn't moved. Total's been banged up a half run from 8.5 to 9.
It would only be a play on the Diamondbacks here. The home team with the plus price going against a young pitcher who, while he did pitch well, I still think is going to take some time. And it's not his first debut where you kind of want to back him there. So gave up 2 earned runs to the Pirates. Think the Diamondbacks can get to him as well. Eduardo Rodriguez kind of makes me nervous because another one that has a lot of inconsistency. Gave up 5 to Milwaukee, and then Dodgers scoreless through 6 innings. So we'll see what we get here. But without Roman Anthony, I'm not too scared of this Red Sox lineup right now. So I take a shot at the dog. Yeah,
this is a little bit of a worry for Boston because they have not been the same since Anthony went out earlier in the week. Just need other guys to step up. We saw Rafaela have a big week, Romy Gonzalez as well, but boy, this is a little bit of a danger zone for the Red Sox. Again, don't expect them to miss the playoffs or anything, but a week ago, we genuinely thought they had a shot to catch the Blue Jays.
Correct.
And now I don't think they do. 3.5 behind Toronto, 4.5 ahead of Texas, and a half game behind the Yankees in that wild card chase. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, We will tell you what the poll did today. We'll tell you the trivia answer, who won, and we'll wrap things up here on the first of two shows on a Friday here at Sports by the Book at the South Point studio.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point studio.
This is the best sports betting network.
I would argue it is a total mismatch.
There's value with underdog prices in series.
I would lean to the under here.
My numbers are saying I got to bet the Tigers.
Two-way action.
When in doubt, we juice that favorite, that extra nickel.
Sports by the Book, South Point studio.
Forget about it. The best.
Welcome by the Book, South Point studio. We are wrapping things up on this program momentarily, but Football Frenzy on a Friday comes your way at noon. Alex, myself, Vinny, Chris, we'll all be here. Week 1 NFL, Week 2 college football. We did the math earlier, Alex. It'll be close to about 40 games between college and the NFL that we'll go through here on the show today, so we're looking forward to that.
Yes, we are. Especially, the last 2 weeks have been a lot of fun. Happy to be on the desk with you guys. It's been all college football, so now we got 2 hours, 24 probably about college football, and then the rest all NFL.
Maybe even a little bit more college football, depending on if there are some requests.
That's right.
Throughout there. If there's, again, we keep it within the 2 hours, but we'll have a good time as we always do. All right. Poll question first, then trivia, then Alex's whiteboard to get us out of here. Fun one from Vince. Which top 25 team is most likely to suffer another loss here in week 2? The choices were Bama, Texas, and Clemson. Now, real quick for everyone, the smallest favorite of the bunch this week, Clemson is 31. Alabama is 35. And Texas is north of 35 at 37. So we don't put none in our poll questions anymore. I would say Bama, but I don't think any of them are going to lose. But I agreed with the poll. 44% say Bama. But again, if any of those lose, oh boy. What a stunners those would be if that was the case. All right. You ready to go?
Was there 4?
What?
Am I missing one?
No, 3.
3. Well, yeah.
Three.
Clemson lost to LSU. Texas lost to Ohio State.
Bama was the worst.
Bama
was the worst of the 3 last week by margin.
Yeah.
Texas did outgain and out-yard per play Ohio State. And just the turnovers and the lack of execution in the red zone were the difference for the Longhorns a week ago.
We'll talk more about that at Football Frenzy.
All right.
So I was going to ask, fourth quarter, right? They were chasing, trying to come back.
Sure. But
that
they
has a lot to do.
did get stopped inside the 5 twice with no points. So
Yeah, true.
not beating a good team with that.
No.
For sure. All right. Trivia question. I almost read the trivia answer first. That would have been good. Since 2004, the previous season Super Bowl winner has hosted the NFL kickoff game like the Eagles did last night, with 2 exceptions. Which 2 Super Bowl winning teams, both from the AFC, did not serve as the home team in the kickoff game since 2004? Now, I remember the first one vividly because I remember the people in Baltimore were very annoyed at the Orioles that they would not move the time of their baseball game that day at Camden Yards. M&T Bank Stadium and Camden Yards share parking lots, so it would have been very hard in order to get everyone in and out. Baltimore was sent to Denver. That game was famous because Peyton Manning threw 7 touchdowns in that game. So 49-27, Denver crushed them. That was the year that Peyton Manning and company went on to have a historic season and got blasted in the Super Bowl by the Seahawks. And then the other one was the Patriots, who did not play in the opener game because they played on Sunday night that year because they wanted the Bears and the Packers on Thursday night to open the 100th season of the NFL.
Nice.
So the answer is the Ravens and the Patriots in 19 and 13. Nick got it right. Patriots did, of course, blow out the Steelers. Ravens obviously did not do particularly well. And there's Nick has a 3-2 lead over JR entering the second week of September, Alex.
I think that might be my favorite trivia question of the ball so far.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
A good one here today. All right. Whiteboard to get us out of here before we're back in a little over an hour, Alex.
All right, here we go. I got 3 baseball today. I have been betting less on my baseball now that we do have football, but I have 1 football I'm going to throw in there too. I'm going with the Brewers here on the road. I agree with Jeff too, maybe a little bit of the run line, but Brewers facing the Pirates. Pirates coming off a Dodgers sweep, and you got Quinn Priester, who, if anything, has been very consistent. You know you're going to get 5 innings. Keep it to 2-3 earned runs. So trust the Brewers here in this spot. And then 2 dogs for you, Rangers. I was going to go first 5 with Merrill Kelly on the bump, but I think they have equally, if not a better bullpen than the Astros. So let's take a shot at the full game here with the Rangers trying to get in the playoffs. And then the Diamondbacks at home hosting the Red Sox. Eduardo Rodriguez going against the young pitcher in Peyton Tully. So I'm going to take a shot there, plus 110. Northern Illinois against Maryland, plus 17. I like the 17. I think that is a key number. So I'm going to take a shot there on that ugly dog.
I think we'll both be on dogs. I'm curious to see if we can get better than 15.5. That's the peak of the market on JMU. We may not, but anything north of 15, anything north of 14 feels pretty good on the Dukes here tonight against Louisville.
14.5 other places. I don't think you're going to get anything.
I would be stunned.
Yeah, with the
We'll see
we'll
see what happens over the next few hours. We are back in an hour and 5 minutes. It'll be Football Frenzy on a Friday here on Sports by the Book. Vinny, Chris, Alex, myself, we'll get you ready for the weekend ahead in college and the National Football League. Make sure you tune in at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern for Football Frenzy. We'll see you then. This has been Sports by the Book here at South Point Studio.